So your argument that GDP or productivity being the wrong measure, I think, is a good one, because the illustration you give is that, well, if we're all producing stuff, we need to have people that buy it. We're going to outproduce the consumption. We'll end up with piles and piles of products very efficiently made that no one wants.
Well, that was Henry Ford said that when he made the Model T. He want to pay his workers well because he wants them to buy a car. It's true.
So, and this is the point then, that we need to find other ways of circulating the wealth, be it paying for art or something, because one way or another, we have to pay for people. People need an income, and if people are going to have successful businesses, they need people with disposable income to do it.
I'm going to pull you back on that. Only within our paradigm do people need an income. And if you go off to the hunter-gatherer tribes in Africa, well, they don't have incomes.
But to survive, we need a mechanism that for people not dying in the streets, basically. So if we take away, if we remove the number of jobs, so the localized solution of, well, my profitability's gone up because I'm producing this much with less cost, but as a result, the number of people who don't have work goes up. One way or another, they still have to eat.
Well, the mechanism we have at the moment, and please don't think I'm some kind of radical communist. I'm not. I don't try to think about these problems. But the mechanism we've got at the moment, money is used to direct activity, and so you will direct your productive activity to the places where, in theory, you get the most money, or at least enough money and this idea that if I can produce something with less people and therefore less cost, that's a good thing. It used to be a good thing because then your surplus labor would be removed from yours and go somewhere else, and we had a shortage of labor at the time, and that was a great way to allocate labor. It worked very well, but we've optimized it really, really well. And most of these systems work in the middle and they don't work at the edges. You pick any system of organization, and there's been lots of different ones tried, and they all work for a while, but they don't. You overextend them. Those kind of end limits arise. But at the end of the day, it's a closed system of a planet that we're on. There are a fixed number of people that we're here and a fixed number of years that we're here for, and that's it. And it's really about how does humanity as a species progress through that and direct its labor in the right places. I mean, the idea that people will be dying on the street is ridiculous. It's only if people die on the street, that's because we chose for them to die on the streets, because we decided that money was more important than them, and that Mr. Bezos had all the money at that point, and he wasn't going to give us any, so we all had to die because he was fine.
That's where I'm coming from. Because what you do is you change the rules at that point. People, so the rules go so far, and then you realize, well, hang on, all the money's ended up with that guy, and everyone else has nothing. Right. Well, you need to give some back, or we need to find another way of starting again, or getting a system working.
If Mr. Bezos was standing in a driveway owning all the money, and there was a million people with pitchforks outside, I think he would be persuaded to
exactly. That's what happens. The situation changes. We don't like the game anymore. So
I mean, society only works because we willingly
stick to the rules. Yeah.
We participate in it. Not everybody does, but if most people do, then we can sort of organize ourselves as a society and sort of walk forward. But the mechanism that we use for doing that is entirely open for debate and has been for generations. So
That's right.
The Egyptians did it differently, right?
Yeah.
The Romans did it differently. This is just the way that we do it at the moment. And so those big assumptions that everyone thinks are there, which are then imputed into business cases without question, may not be the case. I mean, who would have said a year ago, what we'll do is we'll close every single business, and it's okay, we'll just pay you to stay at home. Right? I mean, we finessed it a bit, but that's sort of what we're saying, really. I mean, there's slightly finessed around that. There's gaps in the system because we didn't know we were going to have to do it. But that was no one's business case.
No.
We've had that in it.
Well, if it did, you'd have got laughed out the room. Is it?